Welcome
Andrew.
to our second session of Health and Homelessness. Just a few intro slides before we get to our speakers today. Just wanted to let you guys know, we recently had one night count. A lot of us went. You'll recognize there's Todd, Chris, David, Jackie, Evelyn, Liz. A whole group of us went out. This year we found 3,772 people who were in need of shelter that night. That was a 21% increase from last year, which is significant. Next year, we're also going to be pushing for this, and I think we're going to have more teams. There was a lot of interest near the end, and people were emailing me asking me where to show up, and we had already established the teams and stuff. But we'll go ahead and we'll get it set up for next year, and we'll hopefully have some more teams and be able to get more of you involved with it next year. One of the other things I want to mention is one of the groups that we're really partnering with this quarter and is making good strides outreach-wise is HSDA. Carlos Valdez in my class is in charge of it. He's kind of heading it. It's really related to today's topic because we do a lot of work up in the Skagit Valley. There's actually an MTI event where they're just going to have a van which has 2 operatories in it on February 7th. From 8 till 3. I think right now it's all filled except for we might be looking for one more provider, meaning a 3rd or 4th year. So if you're interested, let us know. That is the day of the gala, but we'll have you home in time to get spiffed up and out and on your feet and get dancing in no time. Once again, any questions, go ahead and email me. Healthandhomelessness.com will take you to the link to the Catalyst site where you can view the videos. The video from last lecture is not up yet. Apologize for that. But it's where you can log your hours, do makeup sessions, etc. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce our speakers today. Our speakers are coming to us from Skagit Valley. They're part of the Community Action Council up there, which is kind of an umbrella organization that does a lot of good service work and really helps all aspects of healthcare up in that region. We have Taryn Purnell right here, who's the Deputy Director. We got Christine Johnson, who's actually a UW grad. And then we got Kathy Hubert, who some of you might recognize. She's the boss lady at Northwest Career and Technical Academy. So yeah, instead of telling you about it, I'll invite the speakers up to come and tell you.
Good morning. So the point in time count that you guys participated in is happening in Skagit County today. So as I left Community Action, they've just been training a bunch of volunteers to do what many of you sound like have been doing. So before I kind of get rolling with our little presentation and inviting Christine and Kathy up to speak, and by the way, it's Holbert. Somehow I think there's an L got missed in there, not Holbert. So I have a Project Homeless Connect t-shirt for B, Dr. Gandera. So Christine is wearing hers because she volunteered in our event last year. So you might see her, maybe she'll wear it around, but anyway, for you, and thanks for inviting us down. So Evelyn wanted to know, what is the topic of your talk? And I'm just like, ooh, I hadn't even thought about that. So came up with understanding and serving marginalized populations, and I would say in Skagit County. So I have been with Community Action for 31 years. And I tell people I got married when I was 12, and anyway, so I'm happy to have Christine Johnson with us today. She has been just a wonderful, wonderful partner with us. She has probably logged in more hours volunteering than any of the other dentists, and has also been very much of an encourager to me personally, as well as to our organization. And I'm going to invite her up in just a minute. In fact, yeah, just come on now. Would you flip to the next slide, please? Oh, do I need to do that here? If you show me how. There you go. Okay. today's goal. This is our goal, the whole reason that we are here. So we hope that we will inspire you to be a part of our 2015 Project Homeless Connect when that rolls around. So we've been communicating with Dr. Dandera over a couple of years to say, can we make this work? And so anyway, I know many of you, how many of you have done Safe Harbor on Saturdays? So, okay, I see one hand going up, so great. So you'll recognize the facility when we get to that slide there. But anyway, I'm going to have Christine just kind of share with you from her heart what she has seen, observed, heard, knows, and about Skagit County and her involvement.
So I graduated from here in '88, so it's been a while, but I also volunteered as a clinical professor here for 22 years. So I've been around a bit. I practiced in my hometown of Skagit for 23 years, and then a couple years ago I sold my practice, and I've been happily unemployed ever since. But I've kept active in dental with a number of projects, especially Homeless Connect. So every volunteer opportunity gives you that opportunity to feel so good about helping people with their dental needs. But I think Project Homeless Connect is kind of special because if you really listen to the people, you learn their stories and how they've come to be in those circumstances. And it can be a real eye-opener. I mean, depending upon how you grew up, you might be very surprised. I have some opportunities to understand poverty because I grew up in Skagit County where it's never been a very wealthy area. And I have friends in high school who, they weren't considered homeless at that time, but they basically were because they were living in their camper. So they were camping out, but they really didn't have a home to go to. And then I also spent a lot of years out working in the fields in the summers. And so I got to understand how the migrant families struggle. And and even as a little kid, I was 10 or 11 years old when I first went out there, I understood that it just was not right that these little kids, 3- and 4-year-olds, were playing in the dirt next to their families' big Cadillacs while their older siblings and their parents were out working. Anyway, so the point is that there's a lot of need right here in our communities, and I know I have a lot of respect for people who go overseas and help others. But sometimes those are the people who get all the accolades, and that's more glamorous. But when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense to help out our neighbors right here become healthy and self-sufficient. First, because they can be, if they become contributing members of our society, then as a nation we're going to all become more healthy and have more to give to people overseas also. So finally, I'd just like to say and I'm sure that most of you understand this, but it's so important to really listen to the people that you serve when you go to these volunteer opportunities. Please don't judge them because of the circumstances they find themselves in. I think that, it's really just by the grace of God, or if you don't believe in God, blind luck, that we're not in those circumstances. Just one major accident or disability or illness could put you there. And, of course, sometimes addiction has led people there, but I always feel so grateful that I'm not an addictive type personality. So please just, I'd ask that you listen and be compassionate. So anyway, thanks for listening, and if you have any questions right now, I'm happy to answer them, but otherwise, I'd just love to see you all up at Project Homeless Connect in September in Skagit County. Any questions at all?
Holbert, and I'm a dental assisting instructor at a skills center up at Mount Vernon, Washington. It's one of the newer ones put into the state, and it's a little different in that we actually focused and built the building around actually bringing business in and in whatever area that we're actually teaching. It was funny though, when I walked in and took the job there 5 years ago, which is when we started, nobody even considered the fact that I had a all these full operatories, 4 operatories, and nobody considered bringing anybody in. So I've been in dental education for teaching dental clinic and clinicals for assistants and running the clinic at Bellingham Technical College for about 20 years. Moved closer to home, down to Mount Vernon then, and actually I started my teaching here. And it occurred to me on the car down, I had volunteered for a project, graduate research project here. It's called Teeth for Life. And we went into the senior citizen centers and then did an education and nutrition and counseling and all this, and then cleaned their mouth and did another assessment afterwards to see if we got any. And it was really kind of interesting. But one of the things when I started working that I found my main goal was, how do I get my students some experience? Because knowledge and the details are really important, but if you don't have the hands-on skills, you're going nowhere. Because that's really where the instinct needs to kick in. And so anyway, I looked around and everybody expected me to send my students out. And I looked around though all these years and saw that there's so many agencies out there trying to reproduce the same services. And it just seemed kind of ridiculous that we weren't all working together. I had a building and most people didn't have the building. So that's kind of where we started. And came up with community action, also brought in Safe Harbor, the only free clinic, I think, north of Northgate, actually. And it serves Skagit and also Snohomish, I believe. And I looked around and I thought, if I send my students out to doctor offices, which I've done before, I know they're just going to stand there and watch. They're not going to actually be part of things. So one of the things that we did was we just brought in a lot of the Dental Society, the Hygiene Society. Our biggest resource has always been the students. I think sometimes that's overlooked too much because it creates an awful lot of manpower and energy. A couple things I've learned, we've had the university up a couple times, and every time they come, it gets better and better and better. It really does. But the biggest thing I've learned is the amazing impact it has on people's lives. Because, we all think that to change the world it takes, marches to Washington or these grandiose gestures, and it really doesn't. It's all there in your backyard. And really to affect people, just even having blood pressure taken and somebody concerned that they're shooting 200 over, 112 is important to them, or that somebody has just sat down and evaluated and estimated what's going on with them as though they really care, which is really kind of wonderful. No matter how technical we get, it still comes down to people. It always comes down to people. And there's a couple of things I've learned is with these community events like Project Homeless Connect, it really does take a village. It takes everybody, and it really takes volunteers, grants, pulling together agencies, educators, everybody from every walk of life. The other thing I found is remain flexible. I've learned to remain flexible. When the going gets tough, compromise. Learn to compromise. And then changing the world. You can do it. It's not hard. You just have to show up.
Thanks, Christine and Kathy. So we're gonna, okay. So I hope that I'm gonna show you, the basic thing I'm gonna show you today is that we have a need up in Skagit County around dental issues. There is a lot of poverty up there. But a little backdrop to this, and then I'm going to show you we're going to run through some pictures of Project Homeless Connect this past year that are kind of interesting and cool, just a few. And, but I just want to give you a little backdrop. So the needs assessment, which was, you have one of the handout that was provided for you, are just some excerpts out of this study, and they were ones related to medical and dental. And the full document is available on Community Action's website. You can kind of figure that out if you wanted to dig a little deeper there. And so I'm going to be running through a presentation that our consultant, of some pieces that, that our consultant did, and just kind of zeroing in on telling you what 704 respondents identified that, hey, affordable access to dental care is the top need. There was another piece that I sent in to Evelyn, and I just kind of overloaded the handout stuff, but it's going to be available on the website. And it is specifically about the Project Homeless Connect, so with a lot of statistics and stuff. They're kind of interesting. So anyway, okay. The backdrop to all of this, when this needs assessment was done, we were doing this from July through September, where we took them out all over the place, including at the 2013 Project Homeless Connect, to have people fill them out. And they were done in Spanish and English. We had focus groups with the Mid-Tech population. Anyway, so this was all underway, and the huge thing that jumped out that said adult dental care access is the #1 gap. The other thing that was happening, everybody has been hearing all the stuff on the Affordable Care Act and Apple Health medical coupons, et cetera, et cetera. Between October 13 and March 2014, in Skagit County alone, 8,000 people became eligible for Apple Health Medicaid. And there was no place for them to be absorbed into a dental care system. So there is a huge, huge, huge need in Skagit County. And I know Christine mentioned when we were coming up, I was thinking too back to, here we go, okay. She said, you know, you deal with one emergency and then there's all this other stuff in people's mouths. And so that is truly, I have heard dentists say, way back when we started having a Medical Team International unit come up, they started in 1989 coming up to us in Skagit County, and they would say, mouths up there look like third world country mouths. So anyway, it's here at home too, like Christine said. So here's the copy of the study here. I just wanted to point out, we had some backers, including medical people. All 3 of the local hospitals chunked in money to help us do the study, so it was great. The purpose of the needs assessment was just to explore and illustrate dimensions of poverty, it has been used largely to attract resources into the community, people cited in grant applications, etc. So it was a survey. We actually have responses from 704 low-income households, and have the focus groups going there. Here you can see the locale, Mount Vernon being the largest, which is the county seat and has the largest population, all the way down to Lyman and Conway. So we got surveys out far and wide. We do have a lot of Spanish-speaking population in Skagit County, and I think, Christine, I don't think you mentioned that. I think you were going to. But anyway, if there are any of you students that speak Spanish, this is a great opportunity to come in and use some of your Spanish. We have 30% of our respondents said they usually spoke Spanish at home. Large, high low income in here. 69% were below the poverty line. So the people that responded to different things, look at that, the third line down, medical dental debt. 40% of people reported that they had medical or dental debt, which was, oh my gosh, that was kind of an eye-opener for us. Housing situations, I think the piece here that is important to us is to recognize 53% of the people responding to this had to choose between rent or basic needs. Okay. Health insurance, 34% down the bottom that have none. And this was health insurance, not dental insurance. This slide just gives a depiction of where people are going. The red blocks are going to the emergency department in our local hospitals. For people that actually have private insurance, 36% were going to the EDs on down. Just a lot of people going to the EDs. So we have had a recent, the Mount Baker Dental Society has funded through drawing in the support of the local hospitals some funds to pay for a part-time dentist that will be working out of Kathy's laboratory at the dental at Northwest Career and Technical Academy. And it is basically in response to the hospitals needing to decrease the number of unnecessary visits to their ERs for dental. And where do people go for their care? Here we go, doctor's office, ED, CMAR, if you're acquainted with CMAR, the February 7th dental van that will be in Skagit County is, I'm suspecting, is probably through CMAR's resources and going out to one of the camps out there. The consultant that has worked with us on our needs assessment developed this really cool way of, so we have a question that we ask people of just a whole list, laundry list of about 20 different needs or services. Say, how important is this to your family? And then they ask on another chart, how great is the need? You know, is it, it's out there and you can find it, or it's not available, least available, or whatever. And so in this service gap, and I believe that chart, there will be a chart in your handout that shows it's a kind of a cross chart, that's kind of a scatter chart, I guess is what we would refer to it as. And 46% hit the high mark up there for affordable dental care. So this is kind of my main reason for showing you this. And we actually took this to the Mount Baker Dental Society, and they said, oh my gosh, wow. Here is Northwest Career and Technical Academy. And so those of you that have participated in the Saturday Safe Harbor, the Mobile unit from Medical Team International locates here. So this is Kathy's house, 5 days a week. The dental assisting lab, beautiful, beautiful classroom and lab area. And here are a couple of the operatories going with a couple of our local dentists. Okay, we're going to move into some slides about Project Homeless Connect. So these are people lining up. This year, or I say this year, the 2014 Project Homeless Connect, we had 521 households that amounted to over 1,000. There were 905 adults and 474 kids. And it's held on the Skagit Valley College campus, and we've had it there for, I think, probably about 5 years straight. Well, this is the 5th year. I think we started out kind of small potatoes at our agency. Here is the Medical Team International mobile unit parked, hanging out there in the lot at the Northwest Career and Technical Academy. And here's Christine working on a patient just this past September. We had some difficulty in recruiting other dental providers. And I think we had a Vista student who'd been working with us for several years, and he had been really organized and got, like in 2013, we served 34 patients utilizing the different providers. We had people active up in the laboratory upstairs and then out in the unit. And this year I was kind of behind the stick, and Christine availed herself to come and hang out with us and did a great job in meeting the needs of 8 patients. Okay, just kicking in, I'll kick through these kind of fast. I want to be aware of time because I want to leave some time for some brainstorming, interaction, and Q&A as we get to the end of here. So community actions van, you see I've got my little logo shirt on. We have that big heart, huggy heart thing I call it. and getting ready for Project Homeless Connect. There were 52 service providers at this year's event from a variety of agencies. I can see Oasis Teen Shelter, Children's Museum. We served veterans, young, the older, from many walks of life. 55.5% of the people that came through that day had reported when they asked, where did you sleep last night, that they were homeless. So we kind of view this as a way for the community to draw in, and so people that are at risk of being homeless, as well as the homeless are served, and we don't turn anybody away. Everyday needs were met. So I was just reminded this morning that up to dental services, haircuts are the number 2 request. So we have veterinarians that have come in and have been a part. It really is amazing to see the number of homeless people that have pets, and maybe those of you that were doing your point in time count maybe observed that same thing down here in Seattle, I don't know, but we gathered up veterinarians and assistants and dog food and cat food, and were there. We had a variety of health services going on. There were 370 volunteers that came forward to help out at this event, and they did lots and lots of things, from dishwashing, and the slide on the right there, my executive director Bill Hinkle is on the left, and then actually our board president is the guy in the lime green shirt there on the right. He's the CEO of North Coast Credit Union. He was there, rolled up his, well, he had short sleeves on, but he was busy that day. Lunches were served to all the volunteers and all the guests. They took things out to the parking lot where people were stationed, or into, brought a lunch out to you, Christine, yes? Yep. Or people could go into the cafeteria there and pick up lunch. And they're at the end of a successful 5th annual Project Homeless Connect Day. Yep. So, Project Homeless Connect 2015. I would like us to maybe have some, maybe Christine and Kathy come up here and we can kind of interact with you about, and maybe Kathy can even, Kathy has experienced you students coming in and working at the Safe Harbor Clinic on Saturdays, and I would just like some Q&A around how you as students can envision yourself as being a part of this. And we're hoping the Friday thing is going to work out. I think Bee's been working on this for a while to hopefully make it happen. But we sure could use some students to help expand. As I say, this past year we did 8, year before we did 34. I would love to see 60 plus being served, but it's going to take many hands on deck to make it happen. So maybe you can kind of share how you might envision some students being a part.
Well, I've started my students on doing some information and display boards, things like on different topics, sugar, content of sugar in foods, nutrition, how it affects, the cavities and rates. I don't know if I'm courageous enough to get into the fluoride debate, but it's still raging on in Skagit County. But the one thing we're really seeing is it's not children. In my experience, it isn't the children who are showing up needing the services. It's actually really young adults, probably people like your age, and it's the adults who are falling through the cracks, mainly because there's just nowhere to send them. There is literally nowhere to send them. They've got, coupons for services, but basically in dental world, that it's almost worthless. You have to find somebody who's are taking it. And it's just not a productive way of really running, preventive care for people that are needy. We're having we've had one oral surgery clinic with an oral surgeon, and he's actually volunteered to come back again. And one of the things that's really slipping between the cracks, young adults who are leaving home, they're like 18 years old. I have a lot of students that are 17 years old that they have no parents. They have them somewhere, but they're not living with them and they're not being cared for. And what happens is they're semi-homeless, living on somebody's couch or at grandma's house, and they have wisdom teeth coming in. And their wisdom teeth, I have one student in our class that's in another program in our building who has pericorditis so badly, and he's had it for about a year and a half. And he's 18 years old, he has no resources, no money, and so these are the people that we're really kind of seeing at these events. I've seen people, Safe Harbor is interesting because you get people from all walks of life. You have like the working poor, you have a lot of people who are barely making ends meet. One of our first people from Safe Harbor that we started seeing was a minister who just doesn't make enough money to go. Other people just had all sorts of things in their life happening. So anyway.
Oh, there's a question.
I'm sorry, maybe I missed it, but when is the project night?
It will be on September 11th, 2015. It's on a Friday. So some of my colleagues at Community Action that have participated in Project Homeless Connects, they say, wow, wouldn't it be so cool to have like a MASH unit? And, I don't know. I think, if there can be a way to bring you students in and be involved in the operation and flow, taking health histories and doing some education, some oral hygiene education, can be a big part. Christine, why don't you come up and people can see your face too and can kind of ask questions. Maybe, I don't know, how many students do you think might want to come or could come, and how many could we use, and that type of thing?
We can use everybody. No, I mean, really, if you can come up, we can find, you won't be bored. I can tell you that. There's so much need. People stand in line, waiting to be processed in, and within the first 20 minutes, dental is sold out. We are the top need, so.
Are people coming from locally, or are they coming from far for that?
The ones I've seen have all been from Skagit County.
So if we can't make it on Friday and we made a bigger deal on Saturday and we could come, would that work? Would they come back for that?
Oh, okay. I think so, but.
We're about to undergo a massive.
I had a thought of doing a second day dental on a Saturday, and I kind of did that little brainstorm, and I would say that it is not out of the realm of possibility that if
We're switching into a new curriculum this summer, and so that's actually like when everything will be lurching in all kinds of directions with the new curriculum. So it's a little hard to predict right now, and it'll be hard to conduct it, but. Saturdays are always our best option, and maybe
if a Friday didn't work, or that Friday, or if some could come up,
and maybe
somehow
screen,
involved,
take X-rays and things like that with our.
Possibly even. I mean, I am open to moving this forward to say, hey, you know what? We have the people at University of Washington that say they would come up and do. So I could certainly be open to that. But there's a question over there. Yes.
How many units do you have for us to work on? Is it 4 at the?
There's 4 in my building, and then there's 2 on the van. The university is really good on Saturdays when you come up. We've actually spread, kind of like a little triage place off into our lab area, life sciences classroom. So and my building is actually on the Skagit Valley College campus. And so,
So
Yes.
if you were able to get enough doctors to fill the chairs, do you guys have the support to turn over the facilities and the instruments enough so that we can really get to people? Because I mean, that
Yeah,
would be a
I-
lot of operating kits and a lot of handpieces.
well, the one thing that's nice is that, I don't know, I think getting these things organized is really the networking capabilities. Bellingham Tech, not only do they have a dental assisting program, they have a hygiene program too. So so I've got a lot of assistants that I've trained over the years that are in Skagit. I usually really don't have that much problems finding support. I have students that I've taught for the past couple of years just, at the skills center who are still signing up and saying, call me, I'll come out and do it,
And you have
so.
all like the handpieces and the instruments.
I have hand pieces. I have well, basically, that has, I've got some of it. But there are grants out, there are ways.
The MTI van brings stuff
The
too.
MTI, yeah, brings a lot of it, and that's why they've come up with a lot.
I'll be in residency in Tacoma, but it's a 4-day-a-week residency, so I only have Friday off. I don't know
Yeah,
about Friday
that'd be
or Friday
great.
off, but
That'd be
I'll
cool.
be willing to come.
It makes a big impact, actually.
We will take your name down.
Yeah. Just a drop.
So, any other questions? Questions for Christine? Okay,
I got patience.
you have patience.
I was just gonna ask, is there, more veterans in the Skagit area than in other parts, other rural areas? Is like the Skagit really,
It is a big area, I was gonna, if you were to go to our website, there are some heart story videos that you can do on there, and one that I was gonna show today, if we have internet access, it was actually a veteran who lost his dentures in a fire. He had been in a motorcycle accident and ended up having these dental emergency and lost his teeth and whatnot. And then after he got his dentures, his house caught on fire at some point. And so he was a vet that struggled with stuff. We do have a lot of vets there. For the handout, if you snag the handout on the Project Homeless Connect on your website there, I think this one, it may have said how many were vets. I think it did. I'm not going to take time to look it up, but we do have a lot of vets, and we do have, we've been bringing up Medical Team International mobile unit to do a clinic for vets only monthly. And we've been trying to do more work up at the academy in the operatories up there so that the students can have the experience, and there's not room on the Medical Team International mobile unit to fit for students on there. And so we've been trying to do that. So that's been, but I think we're going to be, why don't you tell about, I mentioned it briefly, tell about the new dentist that's going to be.
Oh, well, the dentist that's coming on board, he's done a lot of interesting things. The past couple of years, he's been working as a dental anesthesiologist at Island Hospital. His original training, he said that he had done a long internship at in the hospital emergency room in Denver, and which I don't think that's that common, is it? I don't know a lot of dentists have done that. So he's been doing that for a while, and he's coming on, and really what we've tried to do is St. Joseph's Hospital up in Bellingham was having a really hard time with the amount of homeless and the amount of emergency, and really patients that they were getting for dental. The problem is that really they can't do anything for them. They really can't. And it was getting to be such a financial crisis for the hospitals that the Mount Baker Dental Society came in, and they represent dentists from Island, Skagit, and Whatcom counties. They came into Bellingham and said, okay, so what are we going to do? So they came up with a screening system. They came up with a volunteer system where it's kind of like dentists without offices, or they would, come into the hospital or the patients would be referred out for, free care at different hospitals, and they would rotate it. The health department got involved, a lot of agencies. It was this really well-organized oral health care coalition. And so once they completed that, and that's been very successful, now they're down at Skagit trying to do the same thing, because Skagit Valley Hospital and Island Hospital are in the same boat. It's not a real good way to use funds for healthcare, and is emergency room. So that's why we brought this dentist in. So he's actually being paid by the Mount Baker Dental Society and the hospital. And our hopes is to give people somewhere to go, because when they go to the emergency room, people are in so much pain, there's nothing that they can really do for them. They don't want to give out medications for pain relief. They can give them antibiotics, but I can guarantee you that people are going to be right back in another month or two, at the most. So we're hoping to do something more permanent. Lots of stainless steel crowns. Open approaches.
And supposedly it's only going to be emergent only in that clinic setting. So we still have this huge need in Skagit County for how are we going to meet the ongoing needs for comprehensive basic care. And it's a tough question, and apparently it's everywhere in the U.S. I kind of complain about some things. I say, why can't CMAR do more? And hey, you know what? It's like this everywhere. So, do we have any other questions? I think it's.
So,
Thank you.
okay, do one question about, so I don't see, when we're at Safe Harbor patients, we don't see as many veterans.
That's
I'm just
interesting,
wondering.
yeah. That, you know what, I am told it's safe to get into Safe Harbor's free clinic, which is held at here
Right,
on Saturdays.
yeah, we're there.
They have to be an established Safe Harbor clinic, so they have to appear down at their site to be assessed and get into the system there, to be triaged
I see.
and fit in there. But I think, yeah, they do about 30% of their people are from Skagit, but that is interesting to hear that, yeah. And it may be because we're doing the vet clinic.
Oh,
that
maybe so.
we're
They're
serving
selecting
people
for
there.
it,
So
yeah.
Anyway, thank you for your interest and for coming today. It was great.
Thank you
And thanks
so
for the
much.
invitation.
Absolutely,
Yes,
thank you.
we do hope to see you.